I lost my daughter Joy a decade ago. She left behind her husband and 2 children who are now teens. My daughter was very close to her dad and me, and when she was at her sickest, she begged us to stay in the kids' lives and make sure they always knew she loved them and that we were her family just as much. She mentioned how worried she was that her husband would encourage them to forget her and would try to replace her for them with a new woman. She asked that we leave anything we might have left her to her children. We assured her we would never let the relationship end and that we would make sure they had a good life and would remember her always. 8 months after she died, her husband moved his now wife into their home. She had a baby with someone else and was also expecting a baby with someone. At this point, he did attempt to make it a package deal where we couldn't see our grandchildren without treating his now stepchildren as our grandchildren, and that we were to treat all future children of his the same. Otherwise, we would need to be cut out to give our grandchildren a chance to form new family bonds without interference from us, and they deserved the chance to have another mother and only see the new children as true siblings. Their lawyer told them we would have a case to get grandparents' visitation. We also sought advice on if we were denied access if we could obtain that. We were told that, given our close relationship with the children, getting access through the courts would be easy. This led us to getting minimal access, but it was all that was needed because our grandchildren were glad to see us and their aunts, uncles and cousins. In the last few years, my former son-in-law has found himself estranged from his own family, and his wife's family is also no longer in the picture, and he has 6 children, not counting my grandchildren, in his home with no family or support outside of him and his wife. Now that my grandchildren are teenagers, they want to spend more time with us, and their lives have benefited. We admittedly spoil them more than some would like because of the circumstances, but they're wonderful children. Their father recently confronted me about his other children and how they have no extended family and suffer seeing their siblings being spoiled. He also said we'd already come between our grandchildren and their siblings because they're not close and have never asked for their siblings to be part of the extended family they have. He told me I owe it to his children to step in and give them love and some of the same spoiling. I told him I did not owe his children anything and that I would never forgive him for what he'd attempted to do before. He told me I was cold-hearted and callous. Part of me wonders if he's right because the children are innocent, and even though I've never considered them family, they are still young and have nothing to do with my former son-in-law's actions. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but who the heck moves in with their new girlfriend 8 months after their wife dies? And more so with one baby and pregnant with another baby that wasn't his? Like, what? I feel bad for all the kids because it sounds like their parents are awful, but that's not your problem, OP. His dad had his next wife picked within months. Turns out he had her over to clean the house while my sister and I were at work, and while my mom was dying in the other room. I'll never comprehend how someone can jump into a new relationship so quickly as if the death of their spouse was nothing more than a breakup. People can be truly awful. I'm sure your grandkids are happy they have your support. You don't owe your ex-son-in-law anything. He was the one that decided to have more kids, and he never should have tried to force his new kids on you. It's not your fault. All the rest of the family is estranged from them. You would think Daddy Dearest would stop and realise that if he and his wife are estranged from his family and her family, he and his wife are the problem. They must be real nightmares. No wonder he's estranged from his family. They can't stand him either. With your daughter being so concerned that he would attempt to replace her in her children's eyes and push for them to forget her, then I can only imagine what could have happened to make her feel like that. No, it isn't the new children's fault. You aren't actively trying to hurt them. You're taking care of your grandchildren. They aren't your grandchildren. This couple is estranged from both sides of their own families, and there is probably a lot more to that. I'm getting vibes of entitlement from this dude, and neither he nor his second wife and subsequent children are your responsibility. You are keeping your promises to your daughter. I, 25 female, have never been interested in romantic relationships. It just doesn't appeal to me. I'm very busy with grad school and work, and I like being on my own. I have friends and a dog, and that's honestly enough. I'm happy with my life. My family thinks this is weird beyond belief, and the pressure has ramped up now that even my younger brother has gotten married, and I'm the only one left on the shelf. My older sister's husband has been offering to set me up for years because I'm too hot to stay single, whatever that means. I've always tried to refuse politely, but it's wearing thin. I was home visiting my parents this weekend, and my sister invited me out to dinner at a new restaurant. It was an upscale place, so she said to wear something nice. I thought it would just be the three of us, but another guy was in the car when they picked me up. He said he was brother-in-law's friend Joe. Awkward, but not too unusual. We get to the restaurant and sit down, and Joe keeps trying to make conversation with me, with brother and my sister-in-law egging it on, and I finally joke, "Am I on a date or something? What's with all the questions?" And my sister straight up says, "Yes, we thought you needed a little push, so we decided to set you two up." I asked Joe if he knew about this, and he admitted that brother-in-law told him he wanted to set him up on a blind date, but that he was glad. So I was the only one that didn't know it was a date. I was pretty mad, but I didn't want to cause a scene in the restaurant, so I finished dinner and gave really short responses to questions. "So you're in a PhD program?" "Yes." "What's that like?" "Busy." And the evening just stayed really uncomfortable and awkward. Joe apologized in the car, and I told him it wasn't his fault, but he probably shouldn't let brother-in-law set him up again, and I wasn't interested in dating anyone. Apparently, he told brother-in-law off in the car about making him look bad so that he didn't even have a chance. My sister was mad because I was rude and embarrassed them when they were just trying to help me out of my shell. My parents think I should have appreciated the gesture and given Joe a chance because you never know, and want me to apologize. Not the idiot. What is it with people thinking single women need to be in a relationship? I had a co-worker's husband say that I needed a husband. Why? I'm quite happy with life. I've dated and all have ended badly. Not interested. Did you tell the co-worker, "I need a man like a fish needs a bicycle," to quote a famous feminist? They knew your boundaries. They broke them. Knowing them at that, I can assume had you been a bit more polite and engaging with him, they would use that as reasoning to set you up more. Your sister and brother-in-law are upset because they look bad to Joe because they clearly misled him some as well and didn't want to own up to that. OP, this may be a shocker to your relatives, but dating is supposed to be a consensual activity. Consensual dating? What a concept. But seriously, going on a blind date is bad enough, but having one set up for you as a surprise? No thank you. And even worse, set up by people who know you aren't interested? That's like giving an atheist a Bible for their birthday. I, male 32, don't have kids of my own, but I'm dating my girlfriend 35 that has two kids, Anna, teen, and Nick, 18. My girlfriend Amy and I have been together for 12 years. We've been living together for nearly 9. The kids' father isn't in the picture. I've been present in the kids' lives for nearly all of their life, but still, they think of me like a stepdad or even mom's boyfriend. I don't like kids that much either, so I don't mind it, and I don't want to be their father. We're comfortable with the way things are. Anna does ice skating and she had practice for an event that will be held soon. Amy and I went to support her. Some other parents were there too. We were sitting and watching the girls skate. Anna came out and started doing her routine. We both cheered for her, so another woman asked if she was our kid. I told her that she wasn't mine, she was actually my girlfriend's kid, and the woman said, "Oh," and nothing else happened. When we got home, Amy asked to go upstairs to talk. She then told me it was kind of crappy what I did and that I could have just said yes. I told her that Anna isn't really mine, so I don't think I did anything bad. She's upset with me now. Was I wrong here? I don't hate the kids. I don't even hate kids in general. I just don't like the idea of having kids of my own. I do care and love Nick and Anna. When I started dating Amy, she introduced me as Tyler and they just stuck with it. They call me by my name and that's fine. When either of them introduces me to their friends, they say, "My mom's boyfriend," not dad. They don't want me to be a dad, and I don't want to either. We're good. I do, however, take care of them because they're kids and they need to be taken care of. I did since I know them, but that doesn't mean we have to pretend that I'm their dad if neither of us wants to. You are the idiot. I think it's unbelievably cruel for you to be with Amy for as long as you've been and make no effort to act like a father to these kids. If you've been dating for 12 years, that means the kids were very young when you first got together, and yet you don't like them much and don't see them as your own. Those poor kids had to grow up without a dad because you never acted like one. No wonder they don't see you that way. You are the prime example of a crappy stepdad. Disagree. OP's not the idiot. LMAO. If this dude were forcing a relationship that his stepchildren don't seem to want all that much, everybody would be like, "You can't make them see you as their dad." He said that the kids aren't looking for a father and he's not looking for kids. That's allowed, sorry. Also, the lady wasn't asking if she was his biological daughter when she said, "Is she yours?" OP took that so literally. From what he's written, she is his in many ways, even if they don't put the father-daughter label on it. Starting out by saying, "No, not mine," took the focus away from the kid's performance and brought many unnecessary, gossipy questions to the forefront of that stranger's mind. You could do so much better, OP. His girlfriend could also do so much better. I wonder why OP is even with this woman since he sees her as his girlfriend. 12 years together is called common law marriage. Just say she's your partner and they are stepkids. Damn, just girlfriends' kids kinda downplays how long you've been in their lives and makes it seem like they don't matter much to you. It's obvious that the children sensed your lack of interest and have reciprocated. My 18 male parents decided to have their kids in sets. There's me and my sister, teen, and our 2 younger brothers, toddler and infant. They had me at 20 and I guess they decided they wanted more. My toddler brother is a good kid, but he and the baby are a lot to handle, obviously. This is where my current issue comes into play. Our parents told my sister and me once Mom was pregnant with the youngest that they wanted us to help more with taking care of them. Fair enough, we both figured, but it's been a lot since then. Once we got back from school, we'd basically be babysitting our older brother until my parents got back from work or whatever else they were doing. Then we had no time for anything besides homework before bed. This was most weekdays, keep in mind. My entire senior year, my sister and I were basically free babysitters. We could never do anything because we always had to help with the kids. When the youngest was born, it got even worse. Mom was right back to work and our parents work about 60 hours a week, so we would switch to childcare duty as soon as school was done until someone got home around dinner. My sister likes to joke that she'd had the teen mom experience, and I'm done. I told our parents that I knew taking care of my brothers was a condition of living here, so I was out. In a week, 2 friends and I are going to split a 1-bedroom dump. I work part-time and that can be full-time. I'm taking trade classes that I can take loans out for. I can do it. The issue is, everyone is angry. My sister is mad because she'll have to do more, my parents are angry because my sister is angry at them, and so on. Now I feel like I'm being selfish to do this. Not the idiot, not your kids. I hate that parents put the younger children onto the older children because they can't afford childcare or don't want to take care of them. People should really stop having kids they're going to force others to raise. Makes me wonder who was parenting the 2 oldest when they were little. This is called parentification. My parents did the same. I was the oldest and had to babysit my little sister every night from 0 to 6 years old. It only stopped because I went to university. My parents owned a couple of restaurants and I had to be home immediately after school because they would leave around 4 p.m. Of course, everyone has to help with siblings, but it's not fair if you're 18 and working or studying and also have to take care of multiple babies. You're not selfish, your parents are. Your sister is mad and she has a right to be because she's right. Now all of the burden will be on her. But that's not your fault. Try and be kind and understanding of your sister. If you can, prepare yourself and her to help her do the same thing. Escape the minute she turns 18. Just as a tip, make sure any money you have saved up in a bank account is somewhere your parents can't touch. And be prepared for them to continue their outrageous demands. Remember, no is an answer. You don't have to explain. Also, remember you don't have to answer the phone or respond to a text immediately. You can wait until it's good for you to respond. I, 22 male, have a toddler son with my ex, 20 female. She's in college and I work full-time, long hours. I usually have my son on the weekends or on my random days off. Sunday night, my ex abruptly asked me to take the week off and keep our son so she could go on a trip with friends for spring break. I told her there was no possible way I could do that so last minute. She got angry at me and said he was my son too and she was able to call off work so I should sacrifice too. I told her I had a real job and I couldn't just call out last minute and that I really couldn't afford to either. She got really angry and said that I was a deadbeat, even though I pay my share of child support and have my son 2 or 3 days every week. She then said I ruined her plans and this was her only decompressing time and not to ask to see my son this weekend since it was such a big issue. I obviously feel bad that I can't take him. She never asked me for things this last minute and she's a very devoted mother, but it's simply impossible. Edit, I also have him during the week, and I mean, I work a 12-hour job while she works a 4-hour one 3 days out of a week. Not the idiot. It's unreasonable to expect someone to request a week off work with no notice, and it's out of the question if you can't afford to miss work. Being a mother means sometimes you have to miss out on doing fun things with your friends that don't have children. However, if she tries to weaponize your visitation with your son by denying your visitation when she doesn't get her way, you need to get a legal custody arrangement. 100% this. She knew the dates for spring break well in advance, so her poor planning is not your emergency, and most workplaces won't look kindly to someone requesting a week off last minute. "Excuse me, boss, I have to not work this week because my son's mother decided to go on a vacation last minute. Sorry." I told her I had a real job. Is hers imaginary? She's a student and works part-time. You are the idiot for saying that. All kinds of people in all kinds of situations have full-time jobs and children, and they figure it out. However, having to work does not excuse you from being responsible for the child you helped create and are now responsible for. Time to figure out daycare or equivalent options, because this will come up again.